Hello and welcome to the second ever Spinnin Backfist MMA preview show. We did a little recap show, but this is the second preview show. We are here. It is Robbie Fox, it is Big Ev, and it is Jack Mac once again. We're here to talk about this upcoming weekend's card. We're also going to talk a little bit about last weekend's card because we've got Dustin Jacoby coming on the show. We've also got Kris Moutinho, so stay tuned for some interviews. First, we're going to get into some headlines, which we didn't do last time, but it was a good idea from producer Tom. Great segment idea. The first of which being Stipe Miocic versus Tai Tuvasa, rumored for July 2nd. What a heavyweight bout this would be. Stipe is in that weird area, too, where it's like, what are they doing with Stipe? He's just kind of floating in the universe. This would be a hell of a fight to give him. And it's not, I mean, this isn't a walk in the park for Tai. Stipe is kind of the hype killer.
I saw someone, I think might have replied to this, shout out our social media guy, Lee, posted this on our Instagram. And some guy commented and made me laugh so hard. It was like, Stipe should pick apart in the feet all day long. Tai by first round KO.
Yeah, I mean, all logic would say that Stipe is going to win this fight. 100%. But Tai Tuvasa is that guy who can just fucking do it.
Obviously, like, Stipe is much more technical than, like, Derek Lewis, obviously. But, I mean, I think most people thought that fight was going to go Derek Lewis's way as well, and we saw how that played out.
Yeah, July 2nd. Is that the International Fight Week card as well?
I would think so.
I think it is the first week of July, so it's either that week or the next week. It probably is. Another one, Kayla Harrison re-signed with the PFL. Looked like she was going to sign with the UFC for a while. She probably would have if her teammate Nunez won. It looked like they were trying to make that fight. And then her and Cejudo had a back and forth on Twitter. I thought Kayla hit him with a pretty good line where she was like, if I were in Bellator, I'd be fighting the taller chick in that picture. Where there's a picture of him and Cyborg.
Yeah.
It was a pretty good shirt.
Cejudo hit her back with a decent one, too.
What did he say?
It was basically like, it was something, I'm going to butcher it. It essentially was along the lines of like, if you got like a medal for every time you beat like a bum, you'd be Michael Phelps.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not bad.
Essentially, that was what he said. I didn't like not work.
How old is he getting in the mix with her?
Oh, I don't know. Well, Cejudo's like cringe.
Yeah,
like he's cringe pound for pound #1. But like, also he wants to help Masvidal. Did you see that?
I did see that.
He wants to help Masvidal.
But then he also kind of like threw a ricochet shot at Masvidal as well.
What did he say?
It was more directed at UFC. It was basically saying like, you're paying this guy with 1 million losses, but you don't pay like me. Was essentially his point.
And Kayla just turned 31 this summer.
All right, so she'll
be 32 this summer, I guess.
See, for her at this point, I feel like it's just like that decision of like, do you just want the money or do you want to like prove you're the best?
How much is PFL paying her?
She gets the $1 million every year.
It's a cakewalk to the it's a cakewalk to the
tournament.
So she's getting paid $1 million a year. I feel like this was the right move for her. I interviewed her. She was a great interview on my show, also a great interview on Helwani's show this week. Always like very personality driven and like understands the business. She's got a family, got to support a family. Like if you could cakewalk and not have to face the worst of the worst and make $1 million every year, why not?
No, monetarily it makes 100% sense. Yeah. It's like every fight in that league, she's minus 2,000.
I know, it's insane.
And she wins in 2 seconds. Like she just judo throws them on the ground and just pounds them out or like just whatever until
she's like minus 500 in round 1 all the time.
It's
too.
like she's fighting literally soccer moms. Like it's like not even fair.
Yeah. Do you think we ever see her in the UFC?
No. I
really?
Okay. I feel like this contract was probably like
this was her contract.
Opportunity.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but what I was gonna pose this. I was thinking about this morning. What if obviously Nunez and Juliana Pena are fighting again. They're coaching the Ultimate Fighter. What if Pena goes out and wins decisively again? No, but I'm saying for real. Does she steal the hype and then like a Pena Harrison fight makes like dollars?
Definitely could. Yeah. I mean, if Harrison continues on this streak of murking everybody, and then we have like a new female GOAT, I would say she's gonna be that like what Cyborg was to the UFC for so long before Cyborg eventually signed. It was always like, well, how would Cyborg match up? How would Cyborg match up? It's almost like to a lesser extent, Fedor thing as well, where it's like Fedor never made it to the UFC. What would he have looked like in front of UFC caliber talent? Maybe she signs in years like a Ben Askren type thing, where it's like you never thought he would be there, and then after retirement he signs. But as of right now, I'd say no. I would say we won't see her in the UFC.
Because my thing with the PFL is that seems to be only like a 1 year thing, or like however long it takes till the end of that season, like a year and a half, or however long it takes. It'll be her couple fights, then that $1 million title fight, and then imagine she's a free agent again. Like I wouldn't think she's putting herself in like.
Oh, I bet it was. I bet they tried to lock her down to a multi-year. I don't think the details are out yet, but
yeah, they're not. I just would think someone from her perspective, like she has leverage.
Yeah.
That I would think she like the PFL isn't like gripping, like just holding her at ransom kind of thing. Like I think she has a lot of power where she can kind of say, I just want to sign this deal. Because I think if say like Bellator wanted to throw the bag at her for like a Cyborg fight, they could in theory, but I just don't think that the money they would ever get to Bellator, I'm saying, would be worth her like risking it all essentially.
Yeah, agreed. And she likes the season format. She said in the past, I asked her, I was like, if money was not an issue, money was not an object, would you rather fight like fighters in the UFC fight a couple times a year, a couple times a month? You kind of get to decide, or the season format. And she's like, the season format for sure, because going back to the Olympics, going back to judo, that's how she's operated her whole life. So there was probably something to her liking the season format in this too.
I don't know where the bantamweight division goes for the women's. If I'm just looking at the rankings down, if Perea just dominates Nunes again, because I mean I'm looking at rankings.
Weird, yeah.
It's like Raquel Pennington, Irene Aldana. Yana Kunci, or I don't know how to say it. Kunitskaya is like the top 5 fighter in that division. I think the women's flyweight division is great, though.
Honestly, I think if Perea wins again, then you make the Shevchenko fight.
Yeah, you could.
Against Perea?
Yeah, because she hasn't fought her.
That's true.
They fought once before. They fought once before,
okay.
and Shevchenko beat her, so she wants to get that win back.
There you go. Even that sells it even more.
Yeah. Another thing, Islam claiming he did not duck the RDA fight. He said that the fight was offered to him. He wanted like an extra incentive. Some people were saying it was $1 million. He's saying it's not $1 million. It was very doable. And the UFC just announced the next fight. So he's like, I didn't turn it down. Just wanted a little extra on top of that for accepting the fight on short notice. And then it fell apart. Kind of believable from both sides, I feel like. It was like, well, do you really want the fight, or you're asking for like a ton of other things, and then you got Moicano being like, no, I don't want a ton of.
I would imagine he asked for more money and probably like a guaranteed title shot if he won. Yeah. Which I'm sure the UFC probably was not willing to do.
Also, I think the UFC doesn't mind RDA having a little bit of a run here.
Yeah, definitely.
Because if Islam came in there and he just like wrestle fucked him and like just did what he did, not saying he would do what he did against Bobby Green to RDA, but RDA winning this fight. Now, I mean, people are even saying the fight to make for RDA is even against Conor, and that's that would be a massive fight no matter what, of course. But it's Conor, but against RDA, the fight they could never really do.
And they have that footage from the last Conor weigh-in where RDA was backstage. They got into it at the Apex. We heard that like in the media room. We just heard like a little scuffle. I was like, I feel like that was Conor's voice. I feel like that was an Irish accent. Like, what the fuck just happened back there? And then the video came out like 2 seconds later. We were like, oh, holy shit. And one final headline item. Well, I guess 2 things. Robert Whittaker said Skinny Rob is coming back, and everyone assumed this is his return to 170. Maybe he's hopping back down to welterweight. Our guy Magic tweeted and said he probably thinks he accepted a new fight, and this is just he's going back into fight camp. Probably more likely based on the scenario.
I would think so. I mean, he's established himself as clearly at this point at least the number 2 middleweight. So, I mean, obviously the big talk has been him fighting Vettori, so I feel like he's probably going to fight Vettori on one of these.
There are a lot of fun matchups for him at welterweight.
Like, that's what he hasn't fought Vettori. He hasn't. I'm trying to think who else at the top that he hasn't fought yet. Like, Vettori makes the most sense. I would imagine that's going to be the fight that's probably going to get announced. That's what he's starting to train for. Like, that and one of these next few.
He hasn't fought Strickland, right?
No.
Yeah. Who is Strickland? I mean,
he's a lunatic, man.
Well, Strickland, I would love to get him on this show, and I know that's Magic's white whale too for his show, but like Strickland's out of his mind, like crazy. A legit psychopath.
Yeah.
But I really like his as watching a fighter too. Yeah.
Totally.
Well, this is one of. Well, I guess Jared's probably next up for Israel, right?
Yeah,
definitely.
I think they called each other out.
Strickland gets the winner of Vettori Whittaker, and then.
But I feel like he wouldn't even want to wait that long.
I know, that's what I'm thinking.
Because even though he fought, I think he went 5 rounds to Hermanson. I mean, he just jabbed his face off. For 5 rounds. He didn't really. I don't think he took a ton of damage. It was a solid scrap.
There's a ton of divisions like that right now, where it's like, what do you do with these people?
But Strickland
Costa would be a sick fight.
Oh yeah, that would be a sick, and it's 2 meatheads. But Strickland's a psychopath that I think he's somebody that would step in like short notice all the time because they say he doesn't lift weights. He just spars all the time. Like he just like I think he works on like his jiu-jitsu and probably wrestling. But how he trains is he just spars, which some fighters say like they don't like to do that as much anymore because obvious reasons like less brain damage, etc. But he says no, spar.
He's one of those old school guys.
He's going
to do everything his way, and he's not going to listen to literally anyone's advice on it. Almost he reminds me of like Tony Ferguson with his old training methods, kicking poles. Yeah.
It's like when you watch him fight, you realize he looks so sharp on the feet because he's just fucking sparring all the time.
Doing it all the time.
He just is so used to it. He just gets in there, and it's like a normal day at the gym.
Yeah. One final news item. Brock Lesnar closed the door on ever returning to MMA. Not necessarily the most shocking, but I guess it was a definitive, like, he was always one of those guys. Do they bring him back for a heavyweight fight if there's like a heavyweight champ they think he could run through?
Him and DC fight at like 45 years old.
Yeah, like they teased that. People were shitting on that when they did it. I remember, but I loved it when he came in.
When he came in after me up in the back,
they did a whole WWE.
He's like, push me now, push me now.
And he fucked up Joe Rogan's.
His mic,
because Rogan was holding on to
he
it.
Threw it at the camera. That was
awesome. I got so hyped at that.
In his fucking cowboy boots and his full suit. That was great.
That was so. It was the most like WWE I saw at UFC, which I like UFC. That it's not WWE, but it was nice that they kind of had
it was almost like a wink, nudge too. Like everyone knew it was WWE.
Yeah,
even Cormier was like a WWE fan. I liked that. I thought that was great.
That was the card of the worst fight ever, Ngannou against Lewis, right?
Oh, it was that card, wasn't it? Shit, that was horrible.
That was the worst fight ever because it was Ngannou coming off the first Stipe, and he's. I think he talked about that on Rogan. He was just like, I was just fucked up in the head, and then they obviously, he fixed that.
Yeah. But yeah, Brock Lesnar, his final fight would be the one against Mark Hunt at UFC 200. Not the most exciting fight. Brock was juiced to the gills during it.
No, you saw it, right?
Yeah. And Mark Hunt is still in a tie-up with the UFC over a lawsuit over that.
Yes.
It's like the UFC knew he was juiced to the gills and whatever. He wants to fight Dana and Lorenzo together to settle the lawsuit. Brought that up to Dana. He said that's not going to happen, unsurprisingly. Some of the fighter ranking stuff, Colby, not in the pound-for-pound top 15. People were upset about that.
Yeah,
the pound-for-pound rankings, I think, are so stupid. They never hold any, water, any credence to me. I'm like, whatever. Bryce Mitchell moved into the featherweight top 10 as we expected he would, and then Masvidal drops to 7th at welterweight, which is, where's the welterweight? We got the
understandable
rankings up here. Yeah, that makes sense.
Because you got guys that have been like Bilal and like Vincente who've been pretty active.
I think that's right.
But if you had to with Colby pound for pound, I don't where's go to pound and like he has Dustin Poirier. They have Dustin Poirier at 8. Colby would be minus 500 against Dustin Poirier, not 500. But I'm
They've got
I'm
Francis
exaggerating.
Ngannou at 4. I love Francis.
They have Jan at
He's
9.
Not like
what?
pound for pound. If you put Francis in a flyweight's body, and he's not knocking people out, he's not the pound for pound.
I think Usman's the best one. He's one.
Yeah,
well, that's what I'm saying. Even like Whitaker being in the top 50, I think Colby's closer to Usman than Whitaker is to Adesanya.
Yeah. Even Moreno.
That's up for debate.
Even Moreno being
crazy,
in it, it's like what? It's like I don't know. I really disagree with some of it. Doesn't really matter because it's
maybe a pound for pound should just mean who can actually win a fight, and Francis should be number 1, and it should be Francis stepped in there with Davis and Figueiredo. Francis come.
So it would just be the heavyweight. It would be the heavyweight top 15. Yeah, why not? Yeah, who cares?
All right, let's get into the first of our 2 interviews with Dustin Jacoby now. He got the first win on the card last week, and he's actually cornering Cody Brundage on this upcoming week's card. Yo, what's going on, man? Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you all well. You guys hear me okay?
Yeah, absolutely. How are you?
Good, man. How are you guys?
We're doing well.
Good.
Awesome, man. It's an honor to be on the show. This is awesome.
Yeah, we appreciate you for joining. I mean, you had a great win this past weekend. Talk to us about the fight a little bit. Did it play out like you pictured? I know you went in with some injuries.
Yeah, I went into the fight with some injuries, about 5 or 6 weeks prior to the fight. For the first time ever in my 12-year professional career, I had contemplated pulling out of the fight. I just had an issue with both of my ankles, really. They were feeling kind of weak, and then a tendon in my left foot. And honestly, after the fight, I feel great considering I went in there injured and I didn't damage anything furthermore. But I thought it was a great fight. I know my opponent, McCall, he was extremely tough, extremely durable. One of the best guys that I have fought. So major props to him. Huge hats off to him. The guy was super tough and everything I knew he would be.
So, Dustin, I just had to get this off my chest off the top. I'm a man of honor, integrity. I want to apologize to you. I'm a gambling man. I bet against you. Not personal.
Oh.
I'm a fan. I saw and for the record, before I bet against you, I was at the fight before that in New York, and I bet on you. You made me some money. Thank you.
Okay.
So I'm here to apologize to you. I'm just a gambling man. I saw 2 phenomenal strikers. I saw you were a significant favorite. So I bet the underdog. I just want to get that out of the way off the top. My apologies. Congrats on the win. It'll be the last time. The last time. I promise you that.
Apology accepted, and I get it. When you're a gambling man, you're going into a fight. I love value bets. I love the value bets and a guy that's very dangerous. But I tell you what, man, I've been on a nice little streak, and I've been winning a lot of people money. You gotta stay on black, man. You gotta keep betting on the black card.
Do you like betting on fights? Do you like betting on other UFC fights and stuff?
Oh, absolutely. I'm a gambler myself, and I'm betting every weekend.
Unreal. I like that fighters can actually do that. Like, you see all
I
the
do
other sports
too.
people getting in trouble. Like, it doesn't make any sense, obviously, an individual sport like fighting.
Because I would say that's kind of been the example that's been used. Obviously, the Calvin Ridley thing happened this week, and that's been nuts. And people kind of using the example, like because he bet on the Falcons. We were like, you can go in there. I know with Justin James, it was a big thing. Like, he said his entire fight purse on himself. So, I mean, if you're betting on yourself, I don't see the issue.
You know what's super cool is since, DraftKings has become popular, Barstool opens their sports book, FanDuel, BetMGM, all these. Every time I come to Vegas, I'll go to the UFC PI, which is the Performance Institute, where all the athletes go and get rehab, and it's a huge gym you can train at. And you bump into all these other fighters. They're like, Jacoby, keep winning, man. You've been winning me money lately. So it's cool that all the other fighters are betting on you, and everybody's got eyes on the fights. I'm sure the fight bets are what the fighters are mainly betting.
Yeah, and you're back in Vegas this week, right? You went home to Colorado and then right back to Las Vegas because your teammate Cody Brundage, who cornered you, is fighting this weekend.
Yes, sir. I'm here now. We're back at the Residence Inn and getting ready to make it happen again on Saturday night.
How long have you guys known each other?
We have known each other probably, Cody came, I'd say for a couple years now. He moved to Factory X from Michigan, and from a team where he was the big fish in a small pond, and now he came to a bigger team, and he's been a great addition, man. He's been a good buddy of mine, very solid wrestler, very strong kid, and once he gets his first win, man, he's set to take off just like I have, and I believe in Cody, and I can't wait to get the job done this Saturday.
Do you like cornering? Do you like that aspect of the job, kind of coaching your fellow fighters?
Oh, dude, it's way easier than when you're actually fighting. I remember I didn't say this to anybody last week, but they were all here, and I was like, man, I can't wait until next week. I could just chill and be the corner guy, no pressure. In fact, last night, man, I slept. I've never slept so good here. I've always been fighting. And last night, man, I didn't move once until my alarm went off this morning. And when it's fight week last week, I have a hard time going to bed. I'm not falling asleep till like midnight, 1 a.m., sometimes 2 a.m., and I'm laying it down. I just can't sleep. Then come 6 a.m., I'm up wide awake, and I'm like, man, what the hell is going on? This time, I was in bed by midnight. I slept a full 9 hours, didn't move a muscle, man. So it's so much more relaxing to be able to corner and take a little bit of ease off, a little bit of pressure.
That's very nice. And you're also a Barstool Classic guy, right? You played in the Barstool Classic last year. Are you playing in it again in April? No injuries?
Yes, sir. Playing in it April 6th in Nashville. I can't wait. My teammate and I, we'll be playing in it every single year as long as we get in. So far, we're 2 for 2.
We could definitely put a good word in, help you get in, I would assume.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
give old Riggsy a shout.
Yeah. How was it last year?
Oh, it was a blast, man. And I made my mark. They have the truly putt off where every contestant gets to do the putt. I made my putt, so I was one of like 7 guys that got into the finals. And at that point, we were completely hammered. But at Riggs, man, and we talked a little bit of fighting. He's like, hey, man, you fight in the UFC? I was like, yeah, dude, I'm the best golfer in the UFC, too, so I need to be on a part of this Barstool Classic.
Oh, that's a future video idea. Who's the best golfer in the UFC? We'll get you.
Boom.
I know Ian Gary's a big golfer, new UFC newcomer. We need to get like a foursome of all the guys that golf in the UFC. Is DC a big golfer now?
I think he is. I would imagine. I think he's still working on the game a little bit.
Yeah, I think DC's getting into it now.
Dustin Gaethje.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah, Gaethje I know is decent, I think.
I didn't know that. It's a good balance, right? Like, I guess you live the most extreme sport in the world, and then you get to go and play kind of a more calm sport.
Oh, dude, and golf's one of my favorite pastimes. I played, 50 to 70 times a year, depending on schedule and weather. So it's something I'm very passionate about.
What's the handicap looking like?
I'm a 7 handicap.
Oh, wow. So you're like very good. You're very good.
I'm also the only fighter that keeps the real handicap. So I got and all right, man. Well, what's your handicap? How we doing strokes? They're like, well, I don't keep one. I was like, well, hell, I don't keep one either. Then we'll just play straight up, make it easy.
I love that. Give us a prediction for the fight this weekend, Cody's fight.
Oh, I think Cody's going to go in there. I think Cody has the determination factor right now, I think he's going to finish him. I think it's going to be a tough fight, especially early on. All these guys are good. Everybody in the UFC is good. His opponent's very good. He's durable. But I think Cody's going to break him. I think he's really going to use that wrestler mentality of, maybe not just grinding on him, but he's going to break him. He's going to make him quit in there, and I'm definitely taking Cody.
Yeah, and you're now in the top 15. Did you call anyone out?
I called for a fight for a fight with Ryan Spann. I think that would be a good
fight. That's a great fight.
He's ahead of me, and right now anybody that's ahead of me is who I want to fight. I obviously want to creep into the top 10 this year and make my way towards that title.
Yeah, let's make that fight happen.
Yeah, that'd be a great fight
versus you. Would be awesome. Yeah.
I think so. What's cool about the light heavyweight division? For one, it's wide open. John Jones is gone. It seems like anything is possible. For two, you look at that top 10, it's a bunch of guys that like throwing down.
Yep.
It's that are strategically going to come in and try to take you down and jiu-jitsu you and just lay and pray. No, there's guys that want to throw down. So that's right down my alley, and I think there are a lot of favorable matchups in the top 10.
Absolutely. We're looking forward to your career continuing, your continued success. I know Ev is not going to bet against you anymore.
Never again. Scouts on.
Listen,
never
the
again.
Spinnin' Backfist pod is in your corner. We're basically your cornerman. You're a cornerman. We're your cornerman from here on out. So thank you for joining. Talk to us about the Barstool Classic in April after that happens. We'll have you back on the show. We'll see how you did in that one.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. It's Nashville. I've never been to Nashville before, so when Barstool last year, they came to Denver, and my buddy hit me up, do you want to play in this? I'm like, yeah, absolutely, because the year prior, I saw that they were in Denver as well. That was the first year I really got familiar with, about 3 years ago. And so I was like, how do I sign up? They're like, dude, you had to sign up like months ago. Like, this thing's a big deal. I'm like, really? So then I found out more. They came to Denver. I'm like, awesome. This year, they weren't coming to Denver. I was like, dude, great. Why don't we make this a yearly thing where we just travel the United States and check out all these different courses and have all these different experiences? So he's like, all right, cool. Where do you want to go? I was looking up and down the schedule. I was like, I've never been to Nashville. He's like, me either. I was like, boom, we're going. So April 26th, it's a 2-day event. We're playing on the second day. We'll be a part of the party that night before. Hopefully we don't get too hammered so we can show up on day. And I think what our goal is to move on, man. We want to be the duo that wins that and move on to the next event in the classic. So I can't wait, man. I'm super pumped. It's going to be a big old. We planned a week-long vacation, so it's going to be a party all week long.
You guys are doing it right.
Nashville is fucking awesome. I went there with like 10 of my boys from home. Had the time of our lives. Go to Jason Aldean's bar. Maybe my favorite bar I've ever been to in my life.
Okay.
Every bar there, it's 4 floors. They all have from live music. Like one might have a DJ. Like they have so many. Like it's almost like pick your experience. Like every bar you walk into, it's fucking unbelievable.
Done. I'm going, man. I'm taking your word for it. I'm going.
All right, Dustin. Thank you so much for joining the show. We appreciate the time.
Yeah, thank you guys. I can't wait to do it again.
Hell yeah.
Appreciate it, man.
All right, appreciate Dustin for joining the show. Now we're going to throw it over to someone that's actually fighting this upcoming weekend, Kris Matino. All right, now joining us, he is fighting this weekend, Kris Mortino. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing great, bro. Ready to get this thing going, you know what I mean?
The first full UFC fight camp for you, right? The last time was a short notice bout against Sean O'Malley. You made a lot of fans. You caused a lot of hype for yourself. How did this fight camp go?
This fight camp was the best one. It was tough. It was a little longer than I would like sometimes, you know what I mean? But it's been the best thing I've ever done. So I'm just excited and ready to go out there and put on a show for everybody and show them why I believe I belong here, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Has your life changed a ton since that UFC debut, or are you kind of business as usual and now you're fighting every couple months for the UFC when they call?
I'm the same stupid idiot that I was before. You know what I mean? It's nothing's changed. It's like a couple more people want to say hi to me, but everything's the same, man. I wake up, I eat, I go to the gym. You know what I mean? That's my life, and it's been my life for the last 10 years. So why would things change, you know?
What was that like outpouring of support like when you see that on social media after the fight? Obviously, you didn't get the result that you wanted, but everyone just saying he's a warrior. I was saying maybe your nickname should be the American Zombie because you were such a warrior in that fight. Like, what did that look like when you finally got back to social media and saw what people were saying?
I appreciate it, you know. Obviously, man, I thank everybody, but there's, again, with all the positive, there's always negative too. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people now that I'm easily accessible, there's a lot of people giving me shit too. So you know what I mean. I take it in stride, and I just keep going. You know what I mean. I thank the people that are positive, and I block the people that are negative.
Wise man once said, "If you ain't got haters, you ain't popping."
I guess you know what I mean. But if anybody knows me, I'm a very shy, introverted person. You know what I mean.
Really? I feel like you wouldn't expect that with like your look, the colored hair. It's kind of like a big look, vibrant thing.
Yeah, it's this was just for fun, man. I used to do it a lot when I was a kid, so I kind of just during COVID, I kind of lost my mind and just wanted to do something different. You know what I mean? But realistically, man, I'm to myself. I have a small group that I interact with on a daily basis, and other than that, I don't really. That's what's that Drake song? No new friends. You know what I mean? That's how we live in life.
Who was obviously, like you said, you got a ton of respect. You've gained all the Instagram followers. Like a ton of people are talking about it. Who was like the coolest person to you that either like reached out or like tweeted about you or something after the fight? Like it doesn't have to be the most famous person, but that like meant something to you that you were like, whoa, this is crazy.
Yeah, for sure. There was like I got a DM from a kickboxer that I like a lot. You know what I mean? He said good fight, and that meant a lot. You know what I mean? Watching all his Muay Thai fights and kickboxing fights was really cool to see some from him. It's Kevin Ross. If anybody who watches kickboxing.
So a question I wanted to ask you, because I feel like you hold an interesting perspective. Obviously, you were pretty upset when your fight got stopped in the third round last fight, but there's been this whole dialogue back and forth in MMA, even as of today with Michael Bisping, talking about how he wants more coaches to throw the towel for their fighters. And some people were saying your corner, oh, they should have thrown the towel. How do you feel about that in the sport of MMA and how it's pretty rare for a corner to actually throw the towel?
Listen, man, I know what I signed up for. You know what I mean? I signed up for this. I signed up for brain damage. I signed up whatever comes for this. So again, listen, man, I see fights on TV too that and I think, oh, maybe they should stop this. But this guy, this is all that he's ever wanted. You know what I mean? This is what he's working for. This is what he's in the gym doing hours. I would be livid if my coach ever threw in the towel for me. I know what I'm doing. I'll stop whenever if I need to stop. You know what I mean? So when I hear that, like Bisbing, because if his coaches ever threw in the towel for him, he would be pissed and he wouldn't work with them no more. I guarantee it. So realistically, man, that's just on deaf ears when it comes to me. You know what I mean? Don't throw in the towel. Let the guy go out there and go out on his shield.
I feel like that's the case for a lot of fighters. It's hard to see from a fighter's perspective when you're on the other side of the cage.
Well, I was gonna say even what he said with Bisping, like in the GSP fight, like he doesn't tap.
Yeah, the
Like
GSP
he didn't
fight,
tap.
the
Like
Anderson
he went
Silva fight when he was almost knocked out. You know.
Yeah, like he went out. Like he obviously it's I could imagine that your perspective changes like while you're in the game as opposed to now being a commentator and whatever. Like
Yeah.
I can definitely see, but that was an interesting perspective. Like I would imagine that like that's how you feel. You're putting your heart and soul into it. Like go out on the shield.
Yeah. Fighting on this big stage, too, do you feel any added pressure? You said you're kind of an introverted person. You have a small circle. Does it feel like a lot of pressure when you're on, say, pay-per-view with the bright lights?
Not really. You know what I mean? Once like again the week leading up to it, I didn't really have time, to really understand what was going on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was so much thrown at me. It's so quickly, and against a kid that his name is so big, so it was even more. But once I got in there, it felt like no different, man. You don't really notice how many people are in the stadium. You can't tell if it's 2,000 or 20,000. So once I'm in the cage, that's where I'm not. That's my natural home. Like you know what I mean. That's where I feel the most. Whether I win or lose, that's where I feel calm. It's just all the other stuff is what's a little stressful. Cutting weight and talking to everybody on the way leading up.
What was the moment like when you got the call that you're fighting Sean O'Malley? Like like you remember where you were, like what that was like?
Yeah, I was in my mom's kitchen, and I was just chilling, and I was kind of like I was just got done talking to my manager, and he was like, "Yeah, it's probably not gonna happen." And like 5 seconds after that, he put the thing on his Twitch, whatever it was.
Yeah, oh,
He
yeah,
ran
Sean O'Malley did, yeah.
Yeah, Sean O'Malley did, and then I got all the DMs of I'm gonna die and this and that, and I was just excited, man. Once my manager called me back and told me it was going, that's everything I worked for. You know what I mean? It's been years and years of not knowing if I'm gonna ever make it, and it's soul sucking, this sport. You know what I mean? It hurts you. It cuts you deeper than anything else. It's a very disgusting sport, but I love it. Without it, I wouldn't be where I am. I wouldn't. My life would not be the same. You know what I mean? But it does a lot of terrible things to you, to give you for a chance to not give you anything good. You know what I mean? So it was everything, all my hopes and dreams, everything I told my family, told my coaches I was gonna do, showed me that I had my head in the right spot.
So I had heard that literally, well, I don't know if it was a week or two or whatever. I had heard that just recently before that happened, that you had quit your other full time job and went just full time in MMA. Is that true?
Yeah, it was a month. It was a month out. So I was had a couple wins racked up, and I was doing pretty well. My manager was talking to the UFC, said a couple more wins, maybe another win, good win, you get into the contender series. So I was like, I'm doing a job I hate, and I've been doing it for like 5 6 years, doing something that kills me. So I'm like, nah. I talked to my now fiance and was like, yo, can you do you think I could do it? I could just quit and I'll go do other little things to make a little bit of money. And she said yeah, and I literally a month later I'm in the UFC, and it just shows me, dude, if you follow a path, you believe in yourself enough, God will make good things happen to you.
Hell yeah, that's
awesome.
awesome. We're both rooting for you this upcoming weekend. Do you got a prediction for the fight? Do you have a view of how the fight's going to go?
Blood, war, guts. You know what I mean? This is the stuff I love. You know what I mean? This is the stuff I'm here for. I'm here to make the fans excited. I'm here to put on a show, and win, lose or draw is gonna be just that, spectacle. You know.
Damn, we can't wait for it. This is going to be one of the best fights of the night. Kris, thank you for joining the show. We really appreciate it, and best of luck to you in the cage.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, man. Good luck.
All right, thank you to Kris for joining the show as well. Now let's get into some picks for this upcoming weekend's card. Just like last week, we're going to start at the bottom of the prelims, work our way up to the main card, work our way up to the main event. It's a really good card, especially for a fight night coming off a pay-per-view. We were talking about this all week. Like, usually those cards are maybe a little sparse, but this one isn't. This feels great.
No, I feel like this has got a lot of firecrackers.
Yeah.
I love that.
And some really interesting prospects.
Yeah, a lot of interesting prospects on the prelims, especially the first fight. This is another one where it's like, Jesus Christ, we were struggling with last names this week, or last week. We're struggling with them this week. We've got Tafon Nchukwi. I hope I said that right. Nchukwi?
Nchukwi, I think it is.
Nchukwi and Azamat Mirzan. Oh God,
Mirzakhanov.
I'm getting fucking first round TKO'd by this, like Joe Rogan with the Nurmagomedov. Mirzakhanov. I'm going to say Mirzakhanov. I'm going to call him Azamat for this. Azamat is 10-0 with 8 first-round finishes. I love him in this fight, taking him in the first round explicitly here. What do you guys think?
I love him, too. I think 180 on the line is short. Just from a gambling perspective, I like him at minus 180. I talk about I don't love laying juice with MMA fights, especially a guy, I'm going to call him Tafon. I've seen him fight a few times. I'm pretty sure it was on the Contender Series. He had a crazy head kick knockout where he was only like 3-1, 4-1, and Dana was like, that was so crazy. I just kind of like have to sign you, even though he didn't have the fights under his belt. I just think Azamat's going to come in here more like well-rounded. I just trust him more. I just feel like I like him even in we can get into the parlay if we're going to craft the parlay here.
The parlay in the first
I
fight,
like him as a part of the parlay. I feel good about him.
I will say I watched Tafon's Nchukwi's last fight, and he did, I think it was somebody Rodriguez. I think it was Mike Rodriguez. He pieced him up. He's good, but he fought a Korean fighter, I think from South Korea. I forget the last time, but he just got dominated from a wrestling perspective. And Azamat, I think he's done what's the other martial art that I forget the other Sambo, and he's not a bad wrestler. There's something in his hands. Like, you know how there's just some guys that he's short, he doesn't have the reach. Tafon's going to have the reach on Azamat and the height, but there's something about but Azamat's the shorter guy in every fight he's probably ever been in.
Probably, yeah.
Because this is light heavyweight, but there's something about his hands, and even watching his regional tape, like when he connects, people just like freeze. Like, especially when they get knocked out.
He fought Andre Muniz.
Yes, he did. Yeah. And
who's literally a top 15 middleweight right now.
Yeah, and he
just slept him.
Slept him. Like, there's something in his hands that are just. He doesn't look like the biggest guy, but some guys just have like it's like the ability to hit a baseball. They just have it in their hands, and boom. So yeah, I think by KO, and I don't mind him in the parlay.
I like him in the parlay as well. We were talking it's risky maybe, putting him in there because he kicks off the card, so the parlay could lose right away. But I say fuck it. Let's put him in the parlay. We got faith in this guy.
All right, yeah, fuck it. Yeah.
Up next, we got Kris Matino, who we were just joined by, versus Guido Canetti. This is a fight that feels like a thanks for taking the O'Malley matchup fight for Kris. It feels like he's going to get the victory here and maybe become a bit of a star. People liked him in the first fight. He's got the good look, the green hair and everything. Guido's 2-5 in his last 7. He's on a 3-fight skid right now.
42.
He's old. Yeah,
he's old
really
as well.
Old.
Yeah, so I think Kris is going to get a big win here.
And 42 at bantamweight is a lot older than 42 at heavyweight because it's all about speed.
And cutting the weight. Yeah.
I don't really. I mean, I'm cheering for Matino, but I don't really have a great read here. Like, I think I'm gonna.
I guess we don't really know how good Kris is from his, in UFC caliber. I guess.
Yeah. He could move his head a little bit more. He just
you said it earlier. He's the American zombie.
The American zombie.
He just that guy just he eats punches like no other.
Yeah.
He's a madman.
I hope he quit his job. He had that paint
factory
factory job. He quit. Okay.
No, I think he quit it right before even too.
Yeah. A couple days before.
I think he said the UFC paid him and he's been fighting full time.
Good.
Well, he got the bonus too. He got a fight of the night bonus.
Yeah. True. Dalcha Lunguiambula.
Oh, nice.
Jesus, that was another one. Versus Cody Brundage. So this is the one where we are going to see Dustin Jacoby in Cody Brundage's corner. Cody Brundage was in his corner. I don't hate Cody here as an underdog. He's plus 100, so not really a huge underdog. He's coming off, both guys coming off unanimous decision losses. Magomed actually KO'd Dalcha, if you remember that correctly, in 2019. And I don't know. He's got more experience, Cody's got less experience, but his age, he's 27 to Dalcha's 34.
I just don't have a crazy feel in this fight. I think the odds are right. It's kind of like a coin flip fight. Definitely, I think this is the last fight we want to put on the parlay.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, no. This is a tough one to call. That's why I don't hate Cody plus 100.
No, go with our guy Dustin. He's
Yeah.
in the corner. Feel good. He's a winner. He's got a natural winner in his corner right now.
Yeah, and I mean, Dalcha, let's be honest. Dalcha lost a unanimous decision to MAB, Marc-Andre Barriol. He's not, MAB's not very good.
Yeah, no.
I mean, I love the Canadian, but no.
Shout out Canada, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he got, Chidi, I don't know how to say his last name, and I think, that was a month ago, just stopped MAB in the first 15 seconds.
Contender series star.
That was only a month ago.
That was, yeah. So
although I think he's very good.
Who?
I feel like he should have been in the UFC a while ago. Yeah.
Yeah. I agree with that. But yeah, why not Brundage? I think Dalcha's not bad. I don't think I'll touch this.
A fight like this, I'll always take the plus money if I'm gonna take a side. But.
Yeah. Up next, we got Sabina Mezo versus Miranda Maverick. This is a crazy line, I think. Maybe you don't think this, though, Jack Mack, because I think you were saying Sabina's just not great. She's plus 250 to Miranda Maverick's minus 335. Should that be as heavy as it is?
Yeah, I think Sabina Mezo's a bum.
All right.
No disrespect, but Maria Agapova made her, which I guess it's not, you don't say Agapova. It's they were pronouncing it weird this past week.
Yeah, it was Agapova?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. We were butchering names last week. And we'll continue to butcher names. That'll be, a likable thing about us, I guess.
I mean, it's relatable, right?
Yeah.
But Sabina Mezo made Maria Agapova look like she should have been minus 500 last week.
She beat Moroz, too, I think. Or someone on this. Or Miranda Maverick, I think, beat both of those girls.
Yeah, let me check. But I think Miranda Maverick beat Macy Barber. She didn't. But she did, if you remember that fight.
Yeah,
that was an awful
decision.
scorecard.
Yeah.
And then
Sabina was the one that beat both those girls, by the way.
And then she comes out, I think a few months later, and she goes up against. I really liked her going to this fight. I thought Erin Blanchfield wasn't very good, but she looks like she's the real deal.
Yeah.
But I still think Miranda Maverick has the skills to just dominate Sabina. Sabina's not awful on the feet. I think they're kind of comparable on the feet. But then Miranda, if she's not stupid, which I don't think she is, she'll just take Sabina to the ground like Agapova. And I think the previous
she's bigger. She looks like
she's
bigger
huge, dude.
Yeah.
She's And I think she's just going to be a much on
She
fight.
doesn't have the reach. I mean, according to Tapology, Mezo's got a 5-inch reach advantage.
So yeah, like I think my bet here is that it'll just be like she's going to use her size to just take down Sabina.
No, I agree with you. I like her as a parlay piece.
I just think
I agree. She should have her way with her on the ground.
And even against the fence too in the clinch, like she's just going to like Sabina. Agapova does have the reach on Sabina, but Sabina just like, I mean, maybe she was having a bad day. We don't really give that benefit of the doubt to the fighter sometimes. Like, you do have bad days. True. But, I don't know. I think Miranda's she's someone who's a decent fighter that's had 2 losses on a record. Should have had only 1. I don't think Macy Barber's bad either.
No, she's not.
Yeah.
She had that loss to, what's her name, who just retired?
Yeah.
Roxanne.
Roxanne. But I think, did she,
great.
tear her ACL in that or something?
Yeah, she did.
Yeah. She's young, too. But, yeah, I think Miranda's a good parlay piece, and especially for our parlay.
I think so as well. Let's add her to the Spinnin Backfist parlay. Up next, we got Damon Jackson versus Kumuela Kirk. This is a pick'em. I like Damon Jackson here. Seen more of him in the UFC. I just don't know much about Kirk. I think Damon Jackson's beaten better opponents, and his last loss was to Ilya, which is like, it's a loss, but it's one of those losses that is a little excusable. So I just like a money line here.
No, I think he's much easier to trust. I mean, just the strength of schedule's way.
And his cardio's good. He can go. He could go for like 50 minutes on Saturday, I think. And I think Kumuela, his cardio's kind of suspect. Maybe he's been working on it, but I think against Billy Q, I think he fought Billy Q on the Contender Series, like back in the day.
Is that Billy Q's opponent on that?
Yeah, and I think Kumuela came out in the 3rd round and he looked like he was about to die. I don't really like that way. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, oh.
Which, again, it's our guy Billy Q. He'll be a future guest.
Yeah.
Billy the Squid. He'll drag you down and get you with the tentacles, Up next, Trevin Jones versus Javid Basharat. Got to go with the undefeated guy here, I think. Basharat's 11-0 with 11 stoppages.
Yeah.
Betting against him and losing, you would feel like a dope. So I feel like you have to be on his side.
Yeah, I think so, too. I'm not even going to sit here and pretend like I've seen like a ton of his fights and all that, but
11-0 with 11 stoppages.
Trevin Jones isn't like, he's not bad, but he's not someone.
I think he may stink.
Like I'm not like he might. I'm not like
yeah.
I'm not rushing to bet him here in this fight. Like he's not someone I trust. Like for me, I think it's like a Javid or no play.
You know what's crazy? He has 2 KOs in the UFC, none leading up to his career in the UFC.
That is weird.
Crazy
that bunch of
happened.
Split decision losses. He's been on the bad side of a split decision 3 times maybe in his career. He's been on the winning side of it 3 or 4.
I've heard
well.
some
this
really
guy goes
good
to split decision half the time he fights.
I've heard some really good things about this Javid guy though. But again, competition level has been low leading up to this. But that happens a lot though. So this next fight's a little interesting. Like it's JJ Aldrich against Jillian Robertson, but I think JJ Aldrich's an underrated fighter, if you can say that.
I don't think she's bad. I was telling Big Ev, Jillian Robertson was at the worst rough and rowdy ever, a.k.a. the one that got flooded in Miami.
She was there?
She was there with
That's awesome.
I think she was there with Yoel Romero because it was like they both trained in Miami.
Oh, nice.
I think she's an American top team fighter, Jillian Robertson.
That would make sense. Came from Canada, goes down to Florida. That happens often, like with a lot of international fighters.
Yeah, I don't hate the underdog either in this though. It's only plus 110. Another where it's not really an underdog. It's more of just like a pick.
Jillian's going to try to get her down on the feet.
Yep.
And then, but I think JJ can, if she has to avoid that on the feet, JJ will be better. Yeah. So, and I think, especially Ab's point, which I think is
neither
true.
of them are super consistent either. With their fights. I think both their records are kind of win-loss, 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 win-win, loss. Like,
yeah, like JJ Aldrich.
Very back and forth.
Like for me, like this is another one that I almost feel like it's kind of like a coin flip fight. So like I'll take the plus money again from a gambling perspective, but yeah, I mean, I'm not like I don't feel great about it. I'm not super confident from like a betting perspective.
Yeah, no, I don't think.
What is JJ plus 140?
Seeing plus 118 right
plus
now.
110, plus
110 right there on the
I don't know if I like it that much anymore.
That's kind of what I was like.
She was a bigger underdog. Yeah,
she was, but then the line moved. I think JJ's my pick, but I don't know if I'm going to bet it. I think she has a really great chance to win this fight, though. I'm not saying a lot when it's a plus 110 underdog.
Yeah. Up next, Matthew Selmisberger, the Semi the Jedi, versus AJ Fletcher. We were talking about this one before, Ev.
I like AJ Fletcher.
Yeah, you do. Okay.
Because this is a firefight. This is two guys who are gonna throw hands, and I like Semelsberger is a brawler. I like Semelsberger. He used to play football.
Yeah.
15-second knockout in his last fight.
So he's had, I believe he has two 15-second knockouts, sandwiching a decision loss to Chaos Williams, who Chaos 100% got the better of him, but I like Chaos Williams a lot.
I like him too.
I don't think that's like a bad loss. I think he's very, very good. So, I mean, but I like AJ Fletcher. He's plus like 195, like 200 range as a dog.
Let's try to get the winner of this fight next week, no matter what.
Okay.
Whoever wins, let's try to get the winner.
So AJ Fletcher was an LSU bouncer, like a bouncer at LSU bar. He's only 25. He's very young. He's a thick.
There's a chance he's a stoolie with that.
He's a thick welterweight. He's like 5'8", 5'9".
And I know
he's not very tall.
I would assume Semelsberger is as well.
He's a little bigger.
But he grew up in Maryland.
He's more like jacked. Like Semelsberger's more like shredded up. Fletcher's just like thick boy.
I feel like I have
big
to be
arms,
on
big legs.
Semi the Jedi because he's Semi the Jedi.
Yeah, you do.
I'd
Awesome
be a coward
nickname.
if I didn't go
Semelsberger played football at Marist College, which is
Yep.
like an hour away.
Yeah, that's like 30 minutes where I grew up.
Yeah, FCS football.
Unreal.
So this is a sneaky I could see being like a fight of the night.
I could see this
But
being
at the
fight of the
same
night,
time, I think someone could get knocked out. It's either one where like someone gets knocked out fast, or it's just like a drag it out like war.
Well, the next one, I think we know.
Yeah.
Something's happening in this next one.
Alex Perea. I mean, I'm not even going to try to do the like fancy pronunciation of that.
Perea, I feel like they
Perea. They call me Hobby Fox. Just I'll do
Hobby
a
Fox,
Brazilian
yes.
name from here on out. Versus Bruno Silva. Now Perea's minus 182 on the Barstool Sportsbook. Silva plus 140. I know Perea's the smart move here. I don't hate Silva though. Like
Neither.
obviously Perea had a super impressive finish in his UFC debut. Bruno is not a bum though. 7 finishes in his last 7 fights. Hasn't lost since 2016. He's got 28 MMA fights on his resume, so he's a little more experienced in this realm of combat sports. This one is I don't know. It's such a toss-up for me.
It's like Bruno's a knockout guy. His last fight was against Jordan Wright, who like he got hurt by Jordan Wright early and then ended up knocking him out.
Hollywood Ninja, right?
Yeah, the Hollywood Ninja pretty viciously. I just don't think Jordan Wright's like that good, and I think that he got hurt by him is troublesome for a guy with the striking credentials of Perea. Like I just think you don't want to get in a firefight with a guy Perea. Like I just think that's a bad move.
Yeah, I mean, look
Like,
what happened to Adesanya, right?
Like, I just think that's like I feel like that's a knockout waiting to happen. And me bringing up the Jordan Wright point that he got hurt is more from me making the point that I think he is chinny-ish.
Yeah.
Like someone with power like Perea that can literally sleep Adesanya with a left hook. Like I like his odds to
go watch that. If you're one of the only people who haven't seen that knockout yet, go watch it.
It's scary because it's a clean left hook, but it's not like some crazy haymaker. Like Pereira's got fucking power.
Adesanya's reaction where he's like kind of
he was like
up,
out.
breathing,
No,
like,
he
was
required
like,
oxygen.
He had no idea what happened.
They had to like help him out. Only thing I'd say, Bruno Silva has never been knocked out in his entire career.
Interesting.
Wow, fair.
I mean, he got rocked. So
Jared,
I guess
he got rocked in the Jordan Wright fight.
He did get rocked.
That's why I wanted to point that out. He was like he was hurt for a second.
He's also had a lot of fights, so he could be getting to that point where it's like the straw that broke the camel's back.
Because 22-6, obviously a great record. He's been in the UFC for like a little bit. And I like Perea because I just trust him. That's why my vote is for him to be in the parlay. If we don't want to do that, I'm good with it. But
I'm gonna stay away from this.
All right, no, we can keep it out of the parlay. That's fine.
Yeah. The next one, I like the dog in this one. Drew Dober versus Terence McKinney. McKinney hopping right back in there. I know it's a tough ask of him. We were just talking about Moicano. This is not a 5-round fight, though, and it's not RDA either. I like McKinney. I think he's too fast for Dober. That's like maybe his best strength as a fighter, his speed. He's crazy fast. What do you guys like?
I like McKinney, too. It's not because he follows me on Twitter, I promise. I generally so he's in this weird spot now, too, where like his last like 5 fights have all ended in the first 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So I think, and it's for 2 fights in the UFC, both like 7-second knockout and then like 2-minute
Shout out to
submission.
Steamroller.
Shout out for a while. He'll be back. He's
already
back.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
But it's like I feel like sometimes you don't know what to do with someone like that. But even he works out of the team with Chiesa in Chicago. Like, I think it's like Chiesa, like Juliana Pena, like Bilal Muhammad, and their coach says that he's like the best one, like natural gifted talent. That he's like the best in the gym.
And it's funny because he is like completely naturally gifted. He was not an MMA fan growing up. He just saw the Showtime kick like 2 months ago. like the Anthony Pettis
Yeah.
jumping off the cage.
He was a wrestler. I know he was a good wrestler.
He was like, oh
growing
my
up.
God, I've never seen that. That's a crazy finish. And everyone was like, he kind of got roasted on Twitter, which I felt bad for. But he was like, what? I don't need to be a UFC historian to know that.
It's
No,
fair.
yeah.
I mean, fucking Tai Tuvasa didn't even know who he. They were like, "You want to fight someone in the top 5?" He's like, "I don't know who the fuck's in
He
the
said,
top
I don't
5."
even watch the UFC, man.
There's low key a lot of guys like that.
Yeah, I wish I could see it. When it becomes, especially when it becomes your job, where it's like, yeah, I fight all the time. I'm in the gym 24/7. When I'm on my free time, I want to watch a movie instead.
Yeah,
of
yeah.
you know,
But no,
doing what I do all day.
I just think McKinney's super talented. Like I just think that he's finishing guys like that for a reason. Because I think Ferris Yam isn't like terrible.
Yeah,
Like I think him to just go dominate him like super fast like
Yeah.
he did was impressive. I'll
Impressive.
give him that. And that showed the versatility he had because like in his last few fights before, it just been like knockouts. He showed the other side that he had showed like early on in his career. So I mean, I think he might. There's a potential that he could have the edge like almost both like wherever this fight goes, which is hard to say because Dober's like such a solid vet.
he is.
Like he lost a super close fight to Brad Riddell, who I think is like very good.
He's awesome. Yeah.
Like I think that's like no slouch on him, but I don't know.
This is one of these
I
weird
like McKinney
lines,
as the dog.
though.
I know.
It's like one of those lines that's like, wait, what? And then you're like, are they telling me the bet Drew Dober?
I know. The thing that's making
Yeah.
me worried is so many
I'm
people.
like,
I feel
minus
like are
210.
on
It's like,
McKinney.
and it's like, how do you beat Drew Dober? You submit him. And Terence McKinney showed us
That
a
he-
week ago that he can submit somebody.
Yeah.
Because
So many people are on
because
this
grappling
dog.
with Islam is different than McKinney, obviously.
Of course, but it's
That's who he got submitted by
Yeah.
most recently.
Yeah.
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 The next fight, I got nothing in because I have no idea how this is going to go. It's Khalil Rountree versus Carl Roberson. I think it's going to be a great fight, or Roberson, I think is how you say his last name. I think it's going to be a great fight. I wish Rountree was like a bigger dog because I kind of lean him. I like him. I like watching him fight, but I'm staying away from this entirely.
Yeah, Rountree, like, there's something like when you look at, he's this big, like, imposing guy, but I don't know. When I watch him fight, he doesn't have. It seems to me like he always doesn't have that that killer just go get him, that like killer
True.
instinct to just like go finish
That
a fight.
explosiveness.
That's what I'm saying. Like he doesn't have that like big like he looks like a guy that would have that like crazy knockout power. And it's not that he doesn't have like any finishes on his resume, but I don't know. He just doesn't like. Sometimes I feel like it doesn't match what I see when I look at this guy, like this big intimidating
I wonder
guy.
what like the decision odds here are. I don't hate a decision here.
Yeah.
This fight going the distance.
I like Roberson here a decent amount. His past few fights, he just gets taken down, and that's not something that Rountree does.
No, yeah.
This is going to be a fight on the feet.
They're gonna
I
swing.
think Roberson's a better striker for sure. I think this should be a little bit more like minus 180, minus 200. So I'll definitely be on Roberson. Not a parlay piece, but obviously not. I mean, it's minus 130. Why would you do that? Unless you want to, of course. But for us, no. I do think this is a Roberson spot to get back on track against somebody who is a striker, because his takedown defense and wrestling and it's getting a little bit better, but it's not going to matter against Rountree.
Yeah. Up next, we got 3 fights where there's really heavy favorites and heavy underdogs on these next 3. Sadiq Yusuf versus Alex Caceres, Bruce Leroy. Caceres is on a great run right now. He really is. 5 fights in a row. I still think Yusuf is too much for him to handle. He's not Chase Hooper, no disrespect to Chase Hooper, but Yusuf also coming off a loss to Arnold Allen, and I think he's going to be determined to get back on track. I'm taking Yusuf here.
I kind of like Caceres at the plus 200. Like there's something about those like savvy vets against a guy like the 19 and 12. I know like it's a lot of losses, but he was in the UFC like so young.
Yeah.
Versus like a guy like Yusuf who only has like 13 fights. He's 11 and 2. I feel like Arnold Allen. That's it's not a bad loss at all. He's like a number 6, 7 guy in the world. He's fighting Dan Hooker in a couple weeks to potentially be like one or two away from a title shot. So I mean, no bad blood there, but. I don't know. I like taking a shot at Caceres here. Like I think he's sneaky. Like his striking has just gotten so much better. And I hear like there's one thing to pick apart Chase Hooper on the feet, as opposed to like a Yusuf who's definitely like explosive. But I don't know. I like taking the shot on him here as a dog because I think he has other ways to win the fight.
Yeah.
Yeah. Only thing is this win streak for Caceres, Steven Peterson. I mean,
Pearson.
Yeah. And then Chase Hooper, we've talked about. Austin Springer. I don't think he's in the UFC anymore. Kevin Kroom, then Seung Woo Choi.
It's not. Yeah.
It's not great.
It's not great. Fair.
But
it's
not
fair.
the best names on his
But-
website, but yeah.
I think this line's fair. Like I could see Caceres winning for sure, and I think his striking 100% is getting much better. I completely forgot that Caceres lost to Kron Gracie on UFC on ESPN 1.
Yeah.
The first UFC on ESPN.
What's Kron Gracie been up to?
I'm gonna look at it.
That flat earther.
Yeah, that probably probably doing.
The next fight,
He hasn't
I actually
fought since he lost
to Cub.
to Cub.
Yeah. The next fight, I kind of feel how Big Ev feels about the Caceres fight, where we got Marlon Moraes plus 215 versus Song Yadong minus 278. I kind of see Marlon Moraes taking an underdog victory here. If there's going to be a big underdog victory in the final 3 fights, I think this one's most likely. His only UFC losses, Merab the Machine, Rob Font, Corey Sandhagen, and Henry Cejudo. He's still the guy who beat Aldo. He's still the guy who beat Sterling, Jimmy Rivera, Rafael Sunsao. He's got great wins on his record, losses that aren't really horrible. I think plus 215 is a bit extreme. Not the best chin in the world, but I also I think he trains with Mark Henry in New Jersey and that whole team with Frankie Edgar and shit. So if you're taking an underdog in the final 3 fights, I like Marlon Moraes the best.
Yeah, it's just tough because I agree with you, but it's like the question, like, is he still that guy? Like I said, like we talked about before too, like he's obviously everyone he's lost to has been these great guys, but Song Yadong hits hard. It's like I keep going back and forth because like Song has the power definitely to knock him out, but people also forget, even though on this like Moraes losing streak, like he was within like an inch of. There was multiple times in the Merab fight that if they called it, no one would have batted an eye.
Yeah,
like he had him very, very, very hurt. That I think I think a lot of judges a lot of refs would have called it in those moments. But
who was it? Was it Herb
it was
Dean?
I can't remember.
I don't remember.
He was like
If it was Herb Dean, he needs to see death.
He was beating the fuck out of Merab in the first round.
Herb Dean's
beating the shit out of him. Then the first like 3 minutes.
Keith
of the
Peterson,
fight.
no nonsense.
Keith Peterson, cigarettes on his breath, cigarettes and alcohol. Oh man,
Cruz's best buddy.
I think Song Yadong KO round 2 easy. Like as long as he gets through the first 3 minutes, and I think Song Yadong, like he had a lot of hype.
He knocked out Julius Arce, I think, in his last fight.
He did.
Like the second round.
And
Julio, excuse me.
And I think Yadong is a guy that had a lot of hype, and we gave him too much hype too early. Mm-hmm. And he lost to Kyler Phillips. He probably should have lost to Marlon Vera on UFC.
Yeah, that was a bad decision.
But then he's beating Casey Kenny and Julio Arce, punches. There's a decision split. He's also a split decision king. But I think Song Yadong, as long as he gets through the first like 2 to 3 minutes, and I think he has a very strong chin, because I'm trying to see, like he's never been knocked out. Yeah, all of his losses are. He did once.
He's so young. What is he?
2016.
20, I would say, how old is he? 23.
Looking right now. 24.
24. Yeah. He's so
That's
young.
crazy.
So he got knocked out at 18, which
also kind of makes me think like Marlon Moraes even more when I hear how young he is. Like Marlon Moraes has got that experience. He's got that experience at this level, at the co-main event level, even. Like I like him here, and maybe that's just my Jersey bias.
No, I don't fault. Like I don't think you're gonna look at that and say it's a bad bet unless he just gets finished like early.
Yeah, it would suck.
Like I think he's gonna at least throw like an onslaught, like Jack said, at least throw an onslaught early. And then I do agree if Yadong gets through there, it's second round. Like I could even see like a live betting opportunity if Marlon Moraes wins the first round.
Yeah.
And then it's like live between that. I think like maybe take a shot at Yadong landing that big right hand, but I don't hate betting the dog for sure.
Up next, the main event: Thiago Santos plus 420 versus Magomed Ankalaev minus 625. Did I say that last name right?
Yeah, I think so.
Ankalaev. He's fought so many times that I should know it by now, but I think Magomed likely easily wins here. I think the odds makers are likely right. There is always the chance that Thiago Santos landing the fucking hammer or something. I also think back to the John Jones fight. I was saying to Big Ev earlier in the week, like, man, he took John Jones to a tough decision with no legs. He's a fucking great fighter. Like a good, if he's composed, technical, he can actually become that guy. So I don't know, sprinkle a little bit on a
if you're not
on a KO.
The only thing I'm thinking is if you're not knocking out Johnny Walker, I don't know if you're getting Ankalaev.
Yeah.
But you're not wrong. Like that's his win condition. I think his only win condition is a knockout. If not, I think Ankalaev's just going to run through.
I'd say he's got to sell out.
Yeah.
Which we saw in the Johnny Walker fight.
Did it.
He was not willing to do, even though he won the decision. So like on some level, I get it. I guess that. Like,
he did.
He knew he was
fight
going to win.
but I remember that was like minus 600. Fight doesn't go the distance, and everybody had it in like every.
And it like wasn't even close to getting stopped. Like, no one ever even like hurt each other.
Yeah.
They never even hurt each other.
It was in like every. I can't imagine how many parlays were busted because of that. But I think Ankalaev, like, it's not saying much. He's minus 500, but I think he's just going to run through him. I really like him. I think he's a future champion. I think he's legit.
Do we want to throw him in the parlay to
Yes.
cap it off?
Yeah.
So
Throw
what
him in the
are we
parlay.
saying is the official parlay? Is it Azamat?
Azamat,
We have to check.
Maybe
Song Yadong.
maybe Miranda.
Are we throwing Song Yadong on there? I mean,
I don't think
Marais
you guys
I like
like
as an
Song.
underdog.
I don't.
but
I like.
he's
I think
heavy
Song
with the
will win,
odds.
but I don't love. I just feel like he get
All right,
busted
leave him
there
out.
easily.
You know what? But it's the second to last fight. That could be the you know how he said
The hedge.
the hedge if
situation.
you want to. But I would
then
say
there's one after that.
Miranda, Ozmat, Ankalaev. I think that gets us almost to even.
I'd like a little more. See, I know you guys don't like Perea. I'm trying to think who else.
I don't think Perea is horrible on that.
All right, I mean,
because I don't mind throwing a couple 180s in there gets you like a decent spot.
Yeah.
Because Miranda's in like the 300 range. Ankalev's like such a massive favorite. He doesn't help it that much, just a little bit. That's I don't mind him at the end, like the last one, because it's the same
We'll
spot.
put it on the screen. Can we do that? Tom says yes. Producer Tom says yes. We're gonna throw it on the screen. Here's the final Spinnin' Backfist parlay. We hit last week plus 435. Let's keep it rolling. Keep tuning in. We're gonna be back on Monday with a recap episode. Thank you to Jack Mack for joining us for this portion, and we will see you soon.